So by now you've figured out that I'm doing just as many slope problems as I did function problems. And the reason why is because it's one of the GED's favorite subjects. You're guaranteed to get some slope problems. They could be from a graph. They could be from points like it is in this example. It could be from a word problem. It could be from the equation of a line, but you're sure to see something to do with slope. And probably multiple problems. So that's why I want you guys to be slope experts. So let's take a look at this problem. It says, what is the slope? I've been asked to just find slope. But let's look at what I've been given this time. It says of the line containing the points 6, -9, and 2, -3. Those are 2 points they've been given me. So they're asking me to find slope when given points. If you saw the last video, then you know how to do that. To find slope when given 2 points, you need the slope formula. Now, for those of us who have the slope formula memorized, if you go into higher math, you'll definitely have to have it memorized. A lot of us memorize it as slope is the change in y, the rise, how much my y changes, over the change in x, the run, how much my x changes, my horizontal values change. And some instructors might even write it like this: change in y over change in x. So if you've seen in your algebra class, that symbol is the change symbol. And even for GED students, I had a student report that they saw the change symbol on the GED science test. So it's helpful to know that symbol. But the great news is, if this means nothing to you, the formula is on the GED formula sheet, the math formula sheet that you're given when you take the GED. It's one of your drop-down options. Bottom third of it has some algebra formulas, and right there it lists the slope formula, and it tells you the slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, a lot of students freak out when they see these little numbers here, thinking it's some math they don't know how to do. But don't worry, these little numbers that kind of fall on the bottom here are what's known as subscript, and they just say like second and first. So y2 means the second y value, and y1 means the first y value. And same thing down here, the second x value, the first x value. Okay, so if you're looking at the difference between the two y values, that's how much y has changed. Or the difference between the two x values, that's how much x has changed. So now let's plug into it. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and call this guy point 1. It doesn't really matter which one you call point 1 and which one you call point 2 as long as you stay consistent. But I'm going to call that guy point 1 and that guy point 2. Now remember, the first value in a point is its x value, and the second value is its y. So since this is point 1, this will be x1 and this will be y1. And since this is point 2, this will be x2 and this will be y2. And now we can plug into our formula just as easy as can be. The second y will be minus 3. And from that, I want to subtract, because the formula says subtract. I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to subtract the first y value. I'm supposed to subtract y1. Well, what is the first y value? It's -9. Now, a lot of students don't bother to write this second negative because they're like, I already have a subtract. Yeah, you have to count for every negative you see. So that one, that negative right there from the formula, that minus is there. And then the negative from the number -9 is there. And I'm going to put that over. My second x was 2. And from that, I need to subtract my first x, which is 6. Now, a lot of you guys know that when you have minus a negative in math class, the opposite of subtraction or the opposite of a negative is positive. So these two minuses in a row turn into a plus. Okay, so -3 plus 9 is 6, and 2 minus 6 is -4. Now, even if you didn't know that, you would have a calculator. So you could have literally typed -3 minus -9 into your GED calculator, and I promise you, it would tell you 6. Okay? Now, this particular fraction is true. The slope is equal to 6 over -4, but we're not finished yet. Two things. This fraction is not reduced, so that's part of simplifying fractions. They need to be reduced for your final answer. But secondly, you're not allowed to have a negative on the bottom. You should never have a negative in your denominator. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that negative sign out front. And when you divide a positive by a negative, your answer is negative. And so it's possible to just put that minus sign in front of the fraction. And I'm also going to reduce. 6 and 4 have a common factor of 2. I'm going to divide that out of both of them. And so my final answer here is that the slope is equal to negative 3/2.